Okay, glad to have you back. If you're just joining us, you're watching the conversation right here on Lagos television. The conversation now is nationwide protest, addressing demand of the protesters. In case you are not from this planet, because if you are, you know that one of the words used across the globe now is protest, because you have protest in Nigeria, we have protest in UK,
Bangladesh,
we have protest in Bangladesh. So another word for the Earth, planet Earth, is protest. But talking about Nigeria, the demand since Thursday last week, that's the 1st of August, it's been about end bad governance. It's talking about the inflation happening, hunger in the land, and how the government can resolve some of this challenge. The president spoke not too long ago to address some of the demands of the people. But how far-reaching is it? And how far will the protest last? It's supposed to be for 10 days. Intense in some places, violent in other places. But we have someone who I feel personally that should be able, because oftentimes bureau chief from that axis will always come back with one classroom done somewhere and one education done somewhere. He's been visible, but he also accused us behind the scene that there's a whole lot more that should have been reported that we don't do. But about him, we do understand what he's doing. But of course, as a member of the National Assembly from the Green Chambers, please make welcome Honorable Wale Raji. It's a pleasure to have you join us in the studio.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Viewers.
Good morning. So the first question I need to ask you is, everyone saw this protest coming because it's palpable. And I'm sure some of the members of your constituency must have told you that, Honorable, we are really hungry. But did you see this translating to this huge movement of protests? Did you envision this?
Well, to be honest, the situation, we are passing through a very difficult situation in the country. And it will not be fair to blame the present administration for the situation that we have found ourselves. It's a result of neglect, inaction, failure to take appropriate action by the previous administration. And His Excellency Ashwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu, came in, saw the situation, and decided that, we needed to take a decision that could be cause some pains today so as to have a better future, And what am I really talking about? The issue of removal of subsidy and so on. It's been a recurring decimal. We had the reaction has been the same. During Jonathan, it happened. During Abacha, it happened. During Buhari, it happened. So the removal of subsidy by the present administration and the reaction that followed it, it's not different for what had been the situation before. But the issue is this. Is the government taking steps to address, the problem. The situation. Yes. And it could take some time for us to continue. To feel the impact, the full impact of the actions by the government, to address the pains arising from
Honorable
Raji, Joshua, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I know you are very close to the grassroots, and of course, from time to time, you engage your constituents.
Yes.
When you say we are in a difficult time, we have to go through pains for
Yes.
us to get to our promised land.
Yes.
What we see on the side of the political class is
Yes.
quite different
Yes.
from what Nigerians are experiencing.
Yes.
We see affluence, we see flamboyancy on the parts of some politicians, and it's a sharp contrast to what the pains of Nigerians.
It is not totally correct. It's not totally
But a bit correct.
It's not totally correct. It's not totally correct.
It's not 100% correct.
It's not correct. It's not totally correct. You see, and I think we need to put things in perspective. For those of us who are close to our constituents, is the common saying of a rich man in the midst of 10 people. You have only, the number of the poor has increased, by one. So, many of us, we are not too far from our constituencies, and we interact with them, we relate with them, we feel their pains, and we share what we have, with them. For instance, for me, hardly a week will pass that you don't find me in my constituency. I've been there twice this week. I was there on Saturday, I was there on Sunday, and by tomorrow, by the special grace, I will be there. So, and we interact with them. And on the part of the federal government, part of the relief packages, about 3 months ago, food items, grains, rice, and beans were allocated to all the 360 members of the House, including the senators, for distribution to our constituents. We carried out our own in Ekpe. Every member, every beneficiaries, I think a total of over 3,000 got 20 kg of 10 kg rice, 10 kg beans, each person. And it was covered by your correspondent, Olumide Ojo, And just about 2 weeks ago, to assist the farmers, that it's not only the support, the palliative will not be only limited to distribution of food items, to also empower, to support the farmers to be able to produce more. Fertilizers were allocated, to members of the National Assembly, which we also distributed. I think it was covered and reported in your station, some time ago.
Honorable, it's understandable that we have an idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
However, what we hear oftentimes is give us time, talking about either the president or some governors,
Yeah.
or some local government chairmans or their representatives. You hear something like, don't worry, give us time for some of these incentives or initiatives or these policies to work.
Yeah.
However, in the meantime, people have said, look, it wouldn't have been this tough if some things have been done before the fuel subsidy removal or the unification of the naira and the dollar or the parallel market. It should have been done in a way that we won't have this huge inflation. It's almost 40%. Food inflation is almost 50%.
Yeah.
You have a situation where you're saying Nigerians give us time, but they are dying of hunger. That is the reality on ground. So how do you tell someone, we're going to smack you, but please don't cry?
Well, it's unfortunate, really. But if you recall, when Mr. President came in, the budget to take care of the subsidy will last only up to June. It came in
May.
In May. So on the 29th of May, was sworn on the 29th of May. So, well, there was no provision for the subsidy. So, the administration was left with no option other than to take such immediate action. But have there been steps taken to ensure that we get relief? To get some relief, you know. If you have been monitoring the allocation to states and local governments, you know, since the removal of subsidy, it has tripled, and also the federal government has also just reviewed the minimum wage to 70,000 naira per month, you know, and that's the minimum. In the National Assembly, the bill was passed, with the speed of the light, you know, and today the minimum wage has moved from 30,000 naira to 70,000 naira. So, and also in terms of support to states, you know, food palliatives, trucks of food items were also allocated to states. I believe that on the part of the federal government, you know, steps have been taken, you know, but you members of the press, I think we also have a responsibility. Now, the allocation, monthly allocation to local governments, to states are published, but you hardly make efforts, you know, to find out what is happening, you know, at the state and local government levels. The focus of everybody is on the federal government and the National Assembly.
Everybody usually focus their attention on the federal government. You were telling us just now that Asiwaju came in May, yeah, and of course there was no budget provision for subsidy beyond June. By my own knowledge, there could have been a provision for supplementary budgets, okay, and of course provision made, just like Joshua said, for certain things before the removal of the first subsidy. But that's a forgotten issue now. Yeah. I have the FAC allocation for the month of July here. Abia got 9.3 billion, Adamawa 8.7, Akwa Ibom 30 billion, Anambra 11, Bauchi 7.5 billion. You know, so many states, Kaduna 10 billion, Kebbi, Kogi, Kwara. Government is a continuum. Yeah. During the time of President Buhari, right, we were told, including Asiwaju himself, that change is coming. First term, we should show understanding. That's Things have gone so bad. That's right. For 8 years, Nigerians were patient. And at the end of the day, things went bad. Is it not going to be the same thing for us this time around? Because Nigerians are losing hope. They can barely survive. They can barely feed. Poverty is written everywhere. Yeah. Except we want to pretend. Yeah. Well,
my advice is that let us be focused on the present and the future. Asiwaju is a person that we all know. And I had the privilege of working with him as governor of the state, and we know what the situation Lagos was when he came in 1999 and the situation it was by the time he left in 2007. And the foundation that he laid during his period as the governor of Lagos State is what subsequent administrations have been building on. So I'm sure that the situation at the federal level will not be different from what we experienced in Lagos State. And as for the period, the 8 years of Buhari administration, I think that if you continue to focus on the past, we will not make progress. So I want to advise that Asiwaju has come with a renewed hope agenda. He has assured us And we can see some positive steps being taken, but which will take time, to materialize. And in reaction to the high cost of food items and so on, they have removed the duties on
rice, maize,
maize, and all what have you. At least for the next 3 months. During which, and at the same time, arrangements are being made. Provisions are being made to empower our farmers, to produce more. In terms of security, I think if we want to be fair to the present administration, there has been considerable improvement. So many of the farmers are now coming back to farm.
Okay. Before we get back to what exactly you're doing at the National Assembly or perhaps in the Green Chambers, perhaps let's just put a final touch to this protest happening. It's expected to last, and they said if their demands aren't met, it's going to extend more than 10 days.
Yes.
Do you think it's a conversation of coming to the table to have a discussion, or a conversation of, look, there isn't much you want us to do as government. We're addressing the issue of hunger. We're addressing the issue of security. But the last part of it, end bad governance, I don't know how that is going to work, because it's only via election that we can change any government. Can we just tell them that, look, the end bad governance part of it, wait until after tenure is done. Before, is that what we should be talking about?
No. Well, I think first and foremost, we appreciate the concern expressed by Nigerians, by the youth in particular, that have expressed dissatisfaction with the situation. We will not blame them. It is the right of every citizen of Nigeria, to protest. But what is not permissible is destructive protest.
Violence.
And I want to commend our security agencies for the professional manner they've handled the protest. And I also want to commend the organizer. From what we saw in Lagos, they've, to a very reasonable extent, they conducted themselves, properly. Probably everybody has learned 1 or 2 lessons from what happened during the EndSARS. The scars of something is still very visible. So, and Mr. President also responded with the broadcast, and it's like people have yielded, to the appeal that, look, you have expressed your grievances. We heard you loud and clear, and steps have been taken to address the issues. So, and I think in response, people have yielded to that appeal, and I'm sure that the government is also working, to address, to improve the, improve the situation. And as for the political component of the demand, you've rightly answered the question that, look, the only constitutionally permissible means of changing any administration, that people are not satisfied with, is through election. So we are just 1 year old in government. This president is just 1 year old, and we still have another 3 years.
Doesn't it call for, perhaps, if that is not going to happen until 2027, doesn't it call for attitudinal change?
No.
Visible response from politicians?
Of course. Trust, Mr. President. The periodic review, performance review, is a continuous exercise, and you will start seeing some changes, in due course.
Okay, I hope those changes will come swiftly. And Joshua raised a very important point. We know the attitude of an average politician in Nigeria. By next year, an average politician will be thinking about 2027, whether we like it or not. And somehow they lose focus of good governance. They will be finding ways of ensuring that they come back to power. That's on one side. And now, people have also criticized the National Assembly, in particular the Senate President, because of some of his utterances. Before this protest, he said a particular statement, and an APC chieftain in Niger State just took him off inside the Punch this morning. He said he can protest. We will be eating. And those are the people that are representing the people. They are closer to the grassroots.
He has since denied.
But I listened to it.
He has since denied.
I wonder why he was denying. Because he said it.
Excuse me, but like Ejibola, he has since denied, and let's give him the benefit of doubt.
Honorable Raji,
yes.
I listened and I heard it.
He has responded.
He denied.
He has responded.
But he said it.
Denied. No, look.
I'm saying it on the national TV now.
Well, he has responded.
But let's leave that. Let's leave that.
Or probably he took back whatever he said.
Good. I like that. So people have also criticized members of the National Assembly, both green and red, that their pay is humongous. Do they get allocation as well? They do constituency projects. Allegation now that there's a way they corner their constituency projects. I want us to help us throw light on these things and, of course, educate Nigerians who do not know what exactly is happening in the chambers of the National Assembly.
Well, first, let me state this. I'm happy you raised this question, because there are many of your colleagues that they just take the what I would call their parlor gossips, and then broadcast it, without proper investigation. Now, the salaries of members of the National Assembly
that's also in focus.
Has been, it's well known to everybody. And
Joshua, do you know?
Don't let us start any argument on that. And on the issue of the constituency project, let me make it clear. Let me make it clear that no member collects cash for projects.
Okay.
We have two components of constituency project: zonal intervention and special intervention. Now, it's reflected in the budget, but the implementation, the contract awarding, the procurement process, does not involve members of the National Assembly. It is the MDA that where the projects are domiciled that execute. There's something we do not control. We have no control over the payment. We have no control over the award, So it is executed by the MDAs where they are domiciled. Okay. But now, do we carry out, are the projects executed or not? That is the question. So, and it is, I want to say, and without any fear of contradiction, that what we, members of the National Assembly, our intervention projects and programs are grossly underreported, because, for instance, let me take my own constituency, for instance. Yes, charity begins at home. Now, I may bold to say that in terms of impact, members, the people of a peripheral constituency, they've never had it so good. They've never had it so good. There are so many areas that in the area of education, we have projects, ongoing projects right now, that by the time we complete those the classroom projects that are ongoing, we will have provided nothing less than 150 classrooms with furniture. There are areas that do not have, but before our intervention, that did not have public schools. Temu is a good example. The only public school in Temu community in Epe today was facilitated by me, Temu Junior High School. In actual fact, when the school was, the construction was completed, they were to commence academic activities in September, but there was no provision for their running cost. I bore the responsibility for payment of the running cost until the school was placed on subvention for 6 months. Minimum of 250,000 naira every month.
Honorable Raji,
now I've been to your constituency a couple of times, and I know that you are doing so much to impact
in the area of local commerce. Now we facilitated, we sponsored the construction. Go to Itoikin today. Itoikin market is wearing a new look. We facilitated the construction of 120 stores and 45 lock-up shops, and they were all allocated to the market men and women free of charge. Go to Mojoda. The Mojoda something was commissioned about 6 months ago by the Deputy Governor of Lagos State. 86 shops, standard shops, were constructed there, and they were allocated free of charge.
Yeah.
Now,
because of our time,
additional 40, additional 40 or 50 will be constructed, and it is not all these markets that we have intervened in. We did not allocate to new allottees. We modernized the market and allocated to the original owners. Ayetoro market is a traditional market. It's an old market. The reconstruction is ongoing. We have already achieved 232 shops there. We are going to 400. By the time they are completed, they will also be allocated free of charge.
Honorable, like I said, because of our time, we need to manage our time well.
Facility in Iraye today was facilitated by me.
I've been to your constituency a couple of times, and I've seen what you have done to impact your people.
Yeah.
But you are 1 out of 1,000.
Yes.
At the party level, when you meet at the state,
there are many of us.
At the national level.
There are many of us. It is. I'm here reporting my mind. If you go to Ikorodu,
I know
Jimmy Benson is doing well. If you go to Badagry, the same thing is happening. Even though the guy there is a first-timer. The same thing, so many other constituents. Go to Surulere. Go there and see what Badagry has done. And that is just Lagos State. If you go to some other states, Kano, Kaduna, and some other states.
Joshua, I'm sorry.
So I will challenge you members of the media to conduct investigative journalism by visiting we can decide to take one federal constituency per senatorial district throughout the country and see the results.
Honorable Raji, I can speak of Lagos. I love the fact that you have mentioned maybe Kano or Kaduna, like you rightly mentioned now. If it's all rosy everywhere, or where APC is governing, then people would not demand for good governance.
No. Now, excuse me, do you know that the response to the call for protest in Lagos, will you compare it with the response in some other parts of the country?
Lagos is not comparable to any other states. So whether it is APC state or national, APC is APC.
Yes.
And if people are calling for good governance, okay, like the broadcast of Mr. President on Sunday, people had expected that something as little as the electricity tariff, if he had said something about it, okay, I'm going to cut 2 kobo or 3 kobo out of it, that will immediately impact Nigerians and assuage their sufferings. Or don't you think so?
Yeah. Well, why don't you wait for some time and see the full impact of some of the things? I mean, it was a national broadcast. You don't expect details of everything, every action being taken or contemplated by the government, to be contained in the broadcast. So, but I am sure that we have a listening government at the federal, at the state level, at the state levels, and all these complaints are being addressed.
Perhaps let me just take an offshoot of what Jibola just asked, and that is, look, we do understand, and even when we started the show, we talked about what you're doing in Ekpe,
Yes.
and a federal constituency, for instance. But you've mentioned things you've done with even the market stores, which are social interventions that really matter to the people. Especially, I'm personally impressed with the education part, because every time I see you, either a groundbreaking ceremony or commissioning any of the schools, and I believe that education is very important because you're going to alleviate, or you're going to help the future of the community.
We're preparing our young generation, our children, to face the challenges of the future. Yeah.
However, if you are doing that, that means you find less resistance from the people of Ekpe.
Of course, yes.
That's what it means invariably. Especially when you know that your child can go to school, your mom can actually go to the market sell.
And we also take care of the old people. Since for the past 4 years, a minimum of about, I think, 150 old people, 70 years and above, have been benefiting from our monthly stipend to the old people. So 10,000 naira for the past 4 years, and is still on.
You mean you can deal with the farmers, to deal with the market women? That means if they say, come, there's a protest here in Ekpe Federal Constituency, you just go up and you show up there and say, le protest in Biba, like, because they can relate to
I can confirm that the good people of Ekpe Federal Constituency, they appreciate what we are doing, and including all our local government chairmen. So they are doing their best to ensure that the welfare of the people is prioritized.
So which takes me to the question, and that's why we're talking about end bad governance.
Yes.
If this situation is the case in so many states of the Federation, even in Lagos, because we have so many places in Lagos which we can't begin to reel out now at the moment. The fact is, we won't have this protest.
But don't forget, so? No. Don't forget the activities of bad losers. Bad losers.
We are putting that of political opponents now.
No. I mean, of course, yes. There are some of these areas that, in spite of the good efforts of the governments, of the government at the federal, state, and local government levels, you still have some areas where the protests there were politically motivated. For instance, now, what has Ibn Power got to do with hosting of the flag of
Russia and China?
I mean, China. What has that got to do? Is Putin coming to Nigeria to come and address the problem of hunger? Or is it the Chinese president that is coming over here to address the problem? So, I mean, it's beyond. They say that when handshake goes beyond something, it's something else. So, it's something else. So, I mean, there is no correlation.
But I mean, if you have that level of participation, at least your constituent, you said since you came on.
And there are so many. Let's put it in perspective. There are so many states where there was no protest at all.
On the southeastern states,
there was
different reason.
In Kogi State, I mean, we don't witness something. Even Southwest generally. You look at Southwest.
Okay, before we let you go, I need to ask, because primarily, even intervention is the least of the core responsibility of yours.
Yes.
So what laws have you have you, just perhaps perhaps a minute, have you introduced on the floor of the Green Chamber, or that has eventually gone on, passed through the Senate for concurrence, and of course assented to by the President to become a law that you think should ordinarily be the catalyst for helping the people of this country? Perhaps mention one or two.
Well, in the last assembly,
you mean the 9th Assembly?
The 9th Assembly, or the 9th Assembly, yes. No, the current Assembly.
10th Assembly.
The 10th Assembly. There was an amendment to the compulsory treatment of victims of gunshots. That law provided for compulsory treatment of people who suffer gunshots, to address the problem of requests for police report. But we sponsored the bill to expand the scope of that something. That, look, it's not only gunshot that can lead to death. Machete attack, dagger attack, and so on. So something was passed. The bill has passed through the second reading and third reading. We are waiting presidential assent. There was also the bill on providing for the establishment of National Power Institute of Nigeria. What
does that do?
It's to provide for the establishment of an institute for the training of manpower for the power, for the power sector. So that had also been assented to by law. But recently, there was the bill for the establishment of the Federal Medical Center in Ekpe. It passed through the second reading, and to the glory of God, that's something we'll take. We'll start
Joshua,
operation
just before
the end of the year.
Honorable Raji,
and I want to give kudos to the Federal Minister of Health, for championing this. So we gave the legislative backing, to the action. Just yesterday, an acting medical director was appointed for Ekpe Federal Medical Center.
Okay, because we are really out of time.
Yes.
Nigerians are watching right now, and of course, it's been amplified over and over again that Mr. President is here to renew our hope.
Yes.
What will be your message to those who are still protesting as we go in 1 minute?
Well, you have expressed your anger to a large extent in peaceful manner, except in some states. And Mr. President heard you. He has responded and is acting, on the request. The requests that were presented, in addition to what the implementation of the Renew Hope agenda. And I just want to appeal that let us remain patient and be hopeful.
Okay.
So hope is in the horizon.
Thank you very much, Honorable Wale Raji, the rep Federal Constituency. It's a pleasure to have you join us.
Thank you very much
on the conversation.
And thank you for the support that we have enjoyed so far. Particularly appreciate your Olumide Ojo, that all the time, it's always there to give us all the necessary coverage. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. So, of course, the conversation continues after this. We'll be moving over to the other side. Don't go anywhere. It's still the conversation right here on Lagos Television.